Alright folks, this is a video demo of this Heath AD-1308 real-time spectrum analyzer. This is a really pretty cool unit. I'll show you some of the features as I go through this. I'm just going to highlight its basic operation here for you on this video. For the sake of time, I don't want to take too much time. I'll play some music here in the background, but it'll be pretty light so that I can talk over it. But we'll just get started with some music so we can start to see it work. Let me start that over. So the video will show the display flickering, but that's just because of the scan of the display. Obviously, without the 60 hertz of the video camera, it's not flickering at all. It's very stable, but that's just a function of the scan rate of the display versus the scan rate of the camera. Anyway, over here on the far right, or far left, excuse me, we have the power button, and then we have a charge button, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then you can select the input of the display as either left input, right input, left plus right, or left minus right. Right now I've just got it summing both left and right of my iPod through the back here, going into the display unit, coming out a speaker over here on my left. Power switch on the front, and you have two display modes. If you can see the screen there in the red letters, you can have a 3D sensitivity per step. So it goes from -27 to +6. But if you want a more lively display or a more accurate display around, if you're trying to dial something in fairly carefully, you can flip this over to 1 dB, and that gives you 1 dB per step on the screen. And so that would be then the white scale, where you go from +2 to -9. So this is a 1/2 octave a display, so 31.5 all the way up to 20K. But you can also flip it over to 1 octave, which basically then just takes out the every other column. I'm going to flip this back to the 3 dB sensitivity. Get it back to the half display. And then for the spectrum display, you can set that as an average or a peak. So like average just kind of gives you sort of the RMS average of those powers. The peak is more of like a peak display, and then of course you have hold, and so that will just hold the peaks of all of those frequencies for those different kinds of measurement scenarios. I'll stick this back onto the peak display setting. Over here is the attenuator, so you can set the sensitivity of the display, and I'll talk a little bit more about this a little bit later. So it goes from 120 sensitivity down to 50 dB sensitivity. So as I'm going into the line input, an 80 to 90 dB sensitivity is about right for the line input. On the right side of the display here, we're basically dealing with the SPL meter, which is the overall SPL total VU level, and you can set that as A-weighted, C-weighted, or flat, which gives you some interesting options there when you're actually looking at the total overall response. And of course, you also have the slow reading, fast reading, or peak hold. And I'll come to this input mic or external in just a second. You also have the ability over here to store 3 different memory settings. So when you take a display, you can take a snapshot of that, store it into one of these 3 different memory slots, and then as you're making a new measurement, you can set that to the difference, so it'll display the difference. So that's the basic operation of of this Spectrum display. It's pretty cool piece of rat candy to see your audio signals, but it gets really quite better than this. So I'm going to show you something here. So you can flip down this lid and you can take this whole unit out, and it's a self-contained unit. Connects with a little D sub in the back there, and that's how it connects there. And then what you have right there is a jack for a microphone. So this unit comes with a microphone that plugs in right there. Screw that in. Turn this on. It takes a bunch of C cells out back. And we're going to flip this over to the mic. And you can see now we've got a microphone. Check 1, check 2. So you can see that you can sort of use this to equalize a room, equalize out a speaker. So I'll set this right here, which is right next to this little speaker here. And again, that's where the attenuation setting comes in handy, so that you can be at a distance and have this thing in your hand to equalize a room. And again, you've got the 1 dB per division sensitivity mode, so you can see now it's a little more check 1, check 2. So you can do a little more fine-tuned, fine adjustment to your equalization for if you're equalizing out a room. And that's a pretty neat little thing there, to have that be portable and with the microphone. And again, you've got the cool display, totally portable now, all battery operated. That's pretty neat. So coming back to this, you can see that there's a button here for charging. Now, I imagine that this thing, when this thing was originally designed, it may have been designed to use some NiCad, C-size NiCad batteries in the back. I've just got some alkalines back there right now, so obviously when you charge it, it isn't going to charge anything. But if you were to happen to stumble across some NiCads, I would imagine that you could stick those back there and have this whole thing be rechargeable. I don't know if you can still get NiCad C-size batteries anymore. Who knows? But alkalines work just fine, and so they're sitting in the back of this thing right now. So that is the conclusion of my video demo of this cool Spectrum analyzer unit.
And to live out